all the hype around The Sims 4 Fairies coming with the new expansion Enchanted by Nature, and listen. Before we could get into that, I had to come back to The Sims 3 Supernatural because if you know, you know. The fairies in this game, they were doing it first. So today, we're doing a full showcase. Let's get into it. So first things first, when you go to create a sim, you can actually choose fairy as your supernatural type right off the bat. There are 6 different ring types, each with their own vibe. There's Willowed Wisp, Dreamy Dragonfly, Majestic Monarch, Super Swirly, Fanciful Ferns, and Busy Bumblebee. And the best part, you can customize the colors using the color wheel. Not just presets, actual sliders. I was having way too much fun with this, y'all. For this fairy's traits, I went with a mix of flirty and chaotic. Her traits are charismatic, flirty, green thumb, rebellious, and artistic. She's definitely gonna be busy. When I was picking a house, I knew I had to go with this one. And not because of the layout or the furnishings or even the location, but because there was a random gnome chilling on the front lawn. That honestly sealed the deal for me. The house was super cute though. The inside gave subtle fairy energy like soft purples, the cozy layout, just enough room for one mischievous sim to cause some trouble. After I moved her in, it was time for me to get started. Before we left the house though, I had to show off the I Can Fly animation. Fairies in The Sims 3 Supernatural don't just walk, sometimes they take flight. It's a small moment, but it really sells the vibe. At the park, we run into another fairy and immediately hit her with Fairy Frolic, which is basically their way of saying, "Hey bestie!" with sparkles and orbs. So after we vibe for a little bit, I decided to ask her for some fairy dust, which in hindsight was a complete waste, but I didn't realize at the time. I didn't realize that fairy dust didn't have an effect on fairies, but we use it on ourselves anyways just to try to see what it did. But not much because we already are a fairy. Then we cast the Aura of Soothing to test it out and to bring some peace to the park, you know? And the timing could not have been funnier. There's a random guy like passed out on the grass next to us. The ghost was flirting with Helen nearby. Just full-on supernatural madness. And it doesn't make it better that Caitlin is going around doing fairy tricks on random unsuspecting Sims. Next, we did a little fairy glide across the park because walking is for regular Sims and ended up near the chess table. I had to do one of my favorite fairy tricks, hot-headed. It literally makes smoke come out of the Sim's ears, and this guy's reaction did not disappoint. Even after we walked away, he was still low-key combusting. 10 out of 10, no notes. After all that chaos at the park, I got the notification that my fairy magic skill had increased. And if you didn't know, fairy magic is actually a hidden skill that levels up as you use your powers, especially auras and fairy tricks. So yeah, we were out here glowing and growing. But then I noticed the moodlet that said her power bar was basically empty if she'd been soothing folks for a little too long. So we headed home to recharge, and I hopped into buy mode and grabbed 2 must-haves for fairies, the fairy castle and the train set. Both of these help refill your magic power, and honestly, they're just super cute additions if you're playing any fairy household. And because my sim Caitlin has the rebellious trait, she had the want for a motorcycle. And I mean, come on, a fairy on a motorcycle, iconic. So we got one, I had to. Back at home, our magic skill was climbing, but the actual power bar was still struggling. So I decided to explore the fairy castle a bit more. There's a bunch of fun interactions when you click on it. First up, we had Caitlin drink some pollen punch, and of course, she transforms into that little glowing orb. That's the official fairy form, by the way. She zoomed into the castle, took her little magical drink, and popped back out with the moodlet boost. But the power bar still wasn't full. So you know what we did? Fairy house party. And honestly, it was so cute. The front of the castle starts bumping with sparkles and music notes flying out, and you hear all these high-pitched fairy squeaks and giggles. Her little orb even flies around the outside of the castle mid-party. It's so extra. I loved it. And best of all, it really helped recharge her power. The moodlet even said she threw a great party. So shout out to her for being the best host in the entertainment. Then it was time to ride the train set, also in orb form of course, because apparently riding a tiny fairy train is how we recover from throwing it down in the castle. But it worked. Finally, our magic power was full again. So now that we had power to spare, I turned on the Aura of Creativity. This one boosts creative skills like painting, and it's kind of a game changer. I had her start a painting and you can literally see how much faster the skill bar moves. She was leveling up like crazy. It's a really cool combo if you want your fairy to master a creative skill fast. Once that wrapped up, it was time to hit the town again. Fully recharged with a motorcycle, a whole aura glow, and maybe too much confidence. Okay, so this man clearly wasn't feeling us. That's okay, because in true fairy fashion, we're not above a little magical revenge. So we pulled out the old tummy twister trick, and yup, it did exactly what it sounds like. My girl turned his stomach upside down and honestly deserved. After that, we decided to blow off some steam the healthy way, rigging the claw machine. In fairy form, of course. She literally floats inside and guarantees herself a win. I mean, if you can cheat the system magically, why wouldn't you? Then we stopped by the vampire lounge. Why not keep the chaos going? I tried the Skeevy's fairy trick on some poor Sin, which basically strips them down to their underwear and leaves them hella embarrassed. We had fun. They did not. After all that, it was time to call it a night. My girl zipped into her fairy castle, got comfy, and slept it all off. The next morning, she hops on her motorcycle, because yes, she still has one, and hit the store to pick up seeds for the garden. Priorities. Outside, we run into another fairy and this mean vampire who was not feeling us. Naturally, we started beef. I hit him with the demonstrate bite strength interaction, but I low-key wasn't sure what would happen, so I saved the game just in case. We followed it up with a couple fairy tricks, well-deserved TBH. Then we picked some random sims, hit them with some more fairy tricks, and threw in a couple playful pesters because why not? At this point, we're just out here being a menace on purpose. And then we meet Pip Goodfellow, who's another fairy and super cute. And he wasn't excluded from the fairy chaos just because he was another fairy. So we did the fairy trick Golden Toads on him, which basically makes them either vomit up chunks of gold or useless toads, which is pretty funny in my opinion. We chatted with him, showed off our wings, and then he dipped. I don't know where he went. Out of nowhere, this random townie runs up and hands us flowers, so I was like, okay, potential new man. Tried to flirt, that didn't work, he shut that down quick, so we heckled him and kept it moving. Next up, library. I had her use the aura body and mind. At the time, I thought it boosted anything mental, like reading or learning skills, but not quite, y'all. It only boosts specific ones, but we still rocked with it. It also affects nearby sims, which is a little cute bonus. Still thinking we were onto something, we went to the bookstore to buy skill books. Outside, we met another sim. This time, we tried to flirt and then decided to try the inner beauty fairy trick, just to see what it does. I don't know, we thought maybe we would reward him since he was, you know, flirting with us back. And OMG, it turned him absolutely unrecognizable. Like the game gave him a unibrow, elephant ears, the whole nine, and I was not ready. He took it well though. Caitlin told him bye and we headed home. At the house, we turned the aura of body and mind back on and started reading. Still under the assumption it was helping, y'all be patient with me. Then we got into gardening. We planted the seeds from earlier and it was actually really cute because she talks to the seeds before she plants them. I thought it was so adorable. I used the bloom fairy power, which instantly grows your plants. I love this ability even though it drains your power bar like crazy. I kept having Caitlin use her power to bloom this plant just to see how long and how much it would take for it to get to the state where you can harvest it, but her power bar eventually got too low and she had to go recharge in her fairy castle. In the morning, we were finally able to harvest some lavender and it really came in handy later. Once I saw how that bloom power was really working, we kept blooming and harvesting. But the one thing about being a fairy and having magical powers is that eventually your powers will go down. So to recharge, we threw another fairy house party because of course. After that magical rave, we finally hit the fairy arboretum, or Fairy arboretum. But this lot is so pretty. I just really wanted to show off how beautiful the Sims 3 open world is and this town Moonlight Falls. Like this lot just was giving everything. Caitlin played some fairy games and then she entered a gardening competition with the lavender she just harvested. I used the camera tab trick to peek inside the rabbit hole that was at this lot and it was so cute in there, y'all. Plants, sparkles, everything. And then we won the competition. First place, $1,000. Do not play with her or her lavender, okay? We also did the talk to baby's breath interaction. I still don't completely understand what was going on there, but we came out with a cute little moonlit, and then we went back in the arboretum to search for fairies, which triggered a cute little adventure pop-up thingy. No luck though finding fairies, but the vibes were really cute. The full moon hits, so we obviously ride our motorcycles to the graveyard. And in The Sims 3 Supernatural, the fairies get disenergized by moonlit on the full moon. The zombies are out, Caitlin is doing fairy tricks, just a bunch of chaos. Caitlin sets a trap on the teleport booth thingy just for fun, like the menace she is. And then we head to the gym and we meet another vampire. We tried to flirt with him, but that flopped again. So we hit him with the inner beauty fairy trick, and now we're even. And then we continue to bite him because why not end the night with a little bit of vampire beef? Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, y'all.